The next thing we're going to talk about is the 6 general practices of Kanban. This is going to be a little similar to the principles, which is kind of the core, but the 6 general practices will make a little bit more sense now that you understand what a Kanban board is and kind of how that interaction works with the team. So number 1 general practice for Kanban is visualize the workflow. I think that's pretty obvious. You can visualize the workflow on that Kanban board. Whether it's physical or digital, it doesn't matter. You can see those cards move. You can see them be created. You can see them move from the various statuses, and you can see where they're at any given time. And that visualization is very important. Seeing a spreadsheet with IDs of different tasks and dates and whatnot, that doesn't mean a lot to people. You really have to analyze it to understand it. But seeing a physical board, a picture, if you will, of what's happening can really open your eyes to some potential bottlenecks or problems or issues that the team is running into or is going to run into, and you can then help to try to avoid those. So number 1 is visualize the workflow. Number 2 is limit the work in progress, or also known as the WIP. We haven't talked a lot about this, but with Kanban, you have that to-do column, you've got the doing and the done column. The key thing here is you don't want to just take all those to-do items and move them to doing, because when you have that many items in progress, you're not actually working on all of them at the same time. Instead, you want to take items and limit the amount of them that you have in progress so people can focus on the particular items and get them finished. The thing about Kanban is stop starting, start finishing. It's not about starting a million tasks. It's about completing tasks, delivering those small amounts of incremental value to the organization. So number 2, limit your work in progress. Number 3 is manage the flow. With the Kanban board being visual, it's a lot easier to identify issues and problems in that particular flow, bottlenecks, or things that are holding up tasks from being completed. So the 3rd general practice is really manage the flow of those items. Make sure that the items are continuing to be flown from status to status with ease and efficiency. Number 4 is make policies explicit. What this is referring to is Kanban is really a framework that can be structured to your organization. It can be adjusted. Well, with that, there's not a lot of structure or rules or policies that Kanban is really forcing on people. Instead, Kanban is saying to the organization, you come up with those policies. You decide when you move things from various statuses and the various policies and procedures that you'll have in place to help manage that full workflow for Kanban. So Kanban is saying make those policies explicit. Write them down. Make sure everybody's aware of when you move tasks or how you manage block tasks or tasks that are in progress but are stuck. By having those policies explicitly documented, not only will it make it easier for everybody in the team to ensure that they're following the same type of process, but it also help continue to move those tasks as efficient as possible. Number 5 is all about implementing feedback loops. So if we think back to Scrum has sprints or time boxes in which you're going through and you're completing a set of work, and then at the end of that sprint, you're able to look back and say, how did we do? Are there changes we need to make as a team? And anything like that. Well, with Kanban, you really don't have set sprints. I mean, you may have some structure set up there for the organization if that's what the organization likes, but it's not really necessary. This can be a fluid type of process. Things are always added to the to-dos, and they're moved throughout the various statuses based on where that work item is, and you just keep moving. As you move it to done, you're releasing it out to the users, the production environment, getting the value from that as you start on your next task and you're moving through. So what I'm saying is it's a really fluid process. There's not a good place to do those feedback loops. So this is a general practice in here to make sure that you don't forget about them. Feedback loops are really important to give feedback to the team and to get feedback so you can make adjustments to make the overall process better. Now, the main question I get asked is, well, when do we do this? If we're not doing like a time box, a structure, a really set structure on a sprint, how do we handle these feedback loops? Well, the easiest way I've seen it done is number one, you still have your daily stand-up. 15 minutes, you're looking at the Kanban board, people are discussing what they're working on, that work in progress, and it really helps to have the full team understand what everybody's doing as you're looking at that visual board and talking to people about what they accomplished yesterday, what they're working on today, and any type of roadblocks or problems they're running into. And the other thing that you can do is you can still set up like a retrospective, and this would just be a cadenced meeting, a meeting that happens every 2 weeks or 3 weeks or a month or whatever works for your organization and your particular project team, where you get together with the team and you just discuss overall, how are things going? Are there issues? Are there things that we can adjust to make things easier, etc.? So you still want to make sure that you're implementing those feedback loops even if you're utilizing a very fluid Kanban process. And number 6 is collaborate for improvement, evolve experimentally. What this is alluding to is you don't take a task and just work that solo all the time. There's times where tasks, you need other people. You need to collaborate. You have to have a discussion about how you're going to handle that particular work item, how it's going to be completed. And so what this is saying is collaborate for improvement, collaborate together to make sure that that task is done appropriately and done in the right way. Experiment with different ways of doing it and accomplishing it, and then test those results and see if that actually was successful. So collaborate to make a good decision as to how to accomplish it, and then evolve experimentally. Learn from different experiments, things you fail on, things you succeed on, and understand what works and what doesn't for other future work item tasks.